All right, so A, B, and C are whole numbers only. GCF is 1 that can't be reduced by a common factor. And then the last thing we have to put down here is that X and Y are together. So our X and Y are together on the same side. We see the X term and the Y term together. All right, so this form is not very useful for key features. You can't see anything in there. That's why they call it standard form. Like the other forms have key features in their name, standard form does not, because you cannot see any key features directly. But we can find them by doing a quick one-step problem. So we're going to find X and Y intercepts. So the X-intercept is where the line crosses the X-axis. So we do know something's true about the X-intercept. The Y value is always going to be 0 when you cross the X-axis. So when we try to make the coordinates of the X-intercept, we know it's going to be the X that we are going to solve for in a second, comma, 0 for the coordinates. So the y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. And that's where, very good, X is always going to be 0. We've seen those in points, in tables as well. So when we write this coordinate, we'll have 0 first for the X value, and then we'll figure out some number for the Y. All right, so let's use those ideas of X being 0, Y being 0 to find intercepts in equations. So I'm going to zoom in on this problem. So we want to find the X-intercept. Oops, wrong color. The X-intercept. We are going to plug in what for 0? What's going to be 0? Not the X. The Y will be 0. So we're going to take the equation up there. 3x plus 4y and replace the y with 0. What happens to that part of the equation? It becomes 0, right? It kind of just eliminates that term. And what we're left with is a one-step equation. 3x equals 8. How do you solve that? Divide by 3. Divide by 3. It won't be even. We'll have x equals just 8 over 3. Can't reduce it. But don't stop there. Write that as a coordinate. So the x-intercept is going to be what coordinate? What goes first? What we just solved for, 8/3. We solve for the x, that's the x value. And what's the y value? 0. So there's our x-intercept. All right, now let's find our y-intercept. The y-intercept, we're going to do some solving for that too. The y-intercept is, what's true about that? X is going to be 0. X will be 0 in a y-intercept. So we're going to do the same thing. Instead of replacing y, we replace the x now. So 3 times 0 plus 4y equals 8. Plugging in 0 for x, again, it eliminates that term. 0 times anything goes away. And what you're left with is a one-step equation. 4y equals 8. Very good. Divide by 4 to get that y value of 2. But again, don't stop there. Write the coordinates of the y-intercept. So what is it? 0, 2. Is that the only way you could get the y-intercept from this equation? No, you could also convert it to slope-intercept if you needed to or wanted to. Minus 3x, divide by 4, you'll get the same thing at the end. You'll have something plus 2. You actually end up with negative 3/4 x plus 2. All right, go ahead and try the next one for paddle 1 practice. All right, see how you did? Once again, we're plugging in zeros and solving. Plugging in zeros and solving. So plug in 0 for y, eliminates that term, and solve what's left. Let me move that up a little bit. So in order to solve that one-step equation, what do I have to do? Divide by 4 on both sides. So I could cross that off and then start dividing, start solving. So that's going to give me x equals -3. But again, don't put that as your answer. That's just half of your answer. You'll get half credit. So write the x-intercept as the coordinate -3, which you solved for, and the 0, which you already knew. Our y-intercept, we're plugging in 0 over here, eliminates that term, and we're left with -9y equals -12. Divide by -9. We have two things to take care of. Double negative will go away, and 12 over 9 becomes 4 over 3. Okay, that reduces to 4 over 3. So our y-intercept is 0, 4/3. Now these x and y intercepts are not so great for graphing because we would have to figure out a scale to fit these fractions, right? If they were perfect numbers, nice whole numbers, it would be really easy to graph these lines. And that's what we're going to do down below. So you could graph standard form if you find the x and y intercepts as nice whole numbers. So let's go ahead and do that on this one. Let's find the x-intercept first. So our x-intercept, what's always true about x-intercepts? 0 is the y. 0 is the y. Let's use that cover-up method real quick. So cover up what? X or y? Cover up the y and solve for x. What do you get when you solve that equation? 6. 6. All right, for the y-intercepts, we know 0 is for the x, so again, cover up the x now and solve that equation. What do you get? 4. So 0, 4 is the y-intercept. That's so fast, now we can graph those points. Let me zoom out. So I'm going to plot 6, 0. And 0, 4. Get your straight edge out and draw a line straight through those 2 points. All right, so there's our intercepts. We just wrote them up above. But now they're asking us down here, what is the slope-intercept equation? Can we get that from the graph? Yeah, what do we need for slope-intercept? We need the slope and the y-intercept. The m and the b. Well, do we have one of them? Yeah, what do we have? We have the y-intercept. What is it? Which is 4. So we'll have something plus 4 because that's our y-intercept. How to find the slope? Rise over run. Rise over run. From left to right, so my y-intercept to my x-intercept, I have to go down 4 and to the right 6. My slope down 4 and right 6. -2 over 3. So there's the rest of our equation. -2 over 3 times x, and put the y equals. So there's our slope intercept from the graph. Is that the only way to get that equation? Well, let's say we didn't want to graph it, and we just wanted the slope intercept equation from the standard form equation. How can we get this into slope intercepts? Do we need to stack them? If we have just the equation, how can I convert it? No. I want to take this equation and I want to, without graphing, without finding intercepts, I want to put it in slope intercepts. How do I do that?
Subtract 2x.
Very good. So I can convert if I wanted to. You could also solve for y and convert it that way. Let's practice converting it just by algebraically doing it. So let's do it. Convert to slope intercepts. We could solve for the y in 2 steps. So let's rewrite the problem first though. 2x plus 3y equals 12. First thing you do is move the x term, so minus 2x. That leaves me with 3y. And do I do 12 minus 2? No, they're not like terms. They have to be separate. So put, good, someone said put negative 2x first, and then the positive 12. Because slope-intercept has x first, and then the y-intercepts. The y is not by itself yet, until we divide everything by 3. Divide everything by 3. Y equals our slope, negative 2/3 x. And what's the last part there? Plus 4. And that matches what we got over there from the graph. All right, here's some practice for you on the back side. Go ahead and graph those 2 problems. This is your Padawan practice. All right, so on this one, the x-intercept, if you cover up the y, put in 0 for y, solve for x, what do you get? You get negative 2. Negative 2, 0 should be that x-intercept. Plug in 0 for x. What do you get for the y? Negative 5 is the y-intercept. Negative 5. So plot those coordinates. 0, negative 5. And negative 2, 0. And then get your straight edge to graph it.
Oh, that's what you're talking about.
And there's our line. Now, if you want the slope-intercept equation, we have our intercepts here. We know already that it will be something minus 5 at the end here. So how do we find that something that's slope? Rise over run, rise over run. You can go down 4, it looks like. Down 5. Counted wrong. Down 5 and over 2. So negative 5 halves of x. Minus 5 is the equation. Okay. Alright, so we're going to practice our algebra skills here by rearranging these equations into standard form. So remember, there's 2 things about standard form. Let's rewrite it first, though. Remember what it is. It's ax plus by equals c. Stop dancing, Farlan. Ax plus by equals c. So remember, those are capital letters, so we might have to do some fraction busting to get to whole numbers. So if necessary, fraction bust, or if you have decimals, decimal bust. What you're doing is you're multiplying to make whole numbers, just like we did when we were solving equations. The next thing you have to do is reunite x and y. Get x and y on the same side. Once you've done those 2 things, you have standard form. So what's the only step you need to do on number 1 there, the first example? Let's look at it. Let me zoom in. We want to reunite x and y. There's no fraction, so we don't have to do any fraction busting. We just got to get this x over here. So you're going to add 3x. Do the opposite to move it. So we add 3x to both sides. We have 3x plus y equals 5. And that's one possible answer. That's one possible answer. I'm going to show you up on the whiteboard how you can end up with this answer. You could end up with negative 3x minus y equals negative 5. That's not common, but it's still right. All right, so we do see a fraction in the second example up here to the right. Don't fraction bust until you distribute. I saw a lot of mistakes on the final, on the bonus question. People are fraction busting. If you do it now, don't multiply inside quantities. That x plus 2 would not be touched. All right, so we're going to distribute first to make sure we don't make mistakes here. So 1/2 of x plus 1 after we distribute. So we still got y minus 1 over there. All right, so now this is where you're going to fraction bust to get rid of that half fraction. So we're going to multiply everything by what? 2. That's right, 2. 2 gets rid of that denominator there. So 2 times y, 2y. 2 times negative 1, negative 2. 2 times 1/2 of x, just x or 1x. And 2 times 1, 2. All right, is that standard form?
No, sir.
Not yet. We have no fractions though. We're almost there. Next goal is to do what? Get x and y together. And you could do that in any movement of any of these 4 terms. It's up to you. I'm going to move over the x because I want everything on the left-hand side anyways. That's just me though. I'm going to subtract x, but you're not wrong if you subtract 2y. You're not wrong if you move the 2 or the negative 2. Okay? No, you would subtract 2y to move to the other side. Please don't correct me. Negative x plus 2y minus 2 equals 2. And then what are we going to do? Add 2 finally. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And now, let me write this over here. Now I'm going to have negative x plus 2y. And what's left over here together is 4. And that's my standard form answer. Now, if you did it the other way, if you moved the y to the right-hand side, you could end up with the alternative answer of x minus 2y equals negative 4. It's still right if you did it the other way. So make sure you understand that. All right, jumping down here now to the right of the equation. When you see this instruction, you should always think of using point-slope form. Use point-slope. Because most of the time you won't be able to use slope-intercept. You're not going to be given the y-intercept. It won't be that easy. Okay? So let's write some steps over here. If you have to use point-slope, what should you do first, like we did last couple days? What should you find first? You should find the slope first. So find the slope, however you want to use the formula, stack it, find the change, graph it, find rise over run, whatever makes sense. So 4, negative 3. Looks like my slope is going to be from negative 3 to 0, plus 3. And then 4 to negative 2 is minus what? 6. 3 over negative 6 is negative 1/2. So now we have the slope. What do we have any points given to us?
Yes.
Yeah, we got 2 points to choose from. So now we could set up our point slope. So step 2, set up point slope. Y minus the given y value, whatever you choose. Our slope outside times x minus the x value. Let's put the slope in there since we just did it. Negative 1/2 on the outside. Inside we use a coordinate. Either one of these up here, the first one or the second one, it's up to you. What do you want to use? Good choice, right? Try to use the 0 one if you can, because it'll make it a lot easier. So let's use this one. So that's my x, -2, and my 0 is y. So y minus the given y value 0. X minus -2 becomes +2. Very good. Alright, that's the setup. Don't do anything just yet because we are at the same spot where we were 2 days ago when we found a slope and we set up point slope. Here, 2 days ago, we solved for y. Okay? Now, we don't want to solve for y. We want to get x and y together to get our standard form answer. Get x and y together. Okay, so step 2 or 3, is convert to desired form. That just means whatever they're asking for. For us, they're asking for standard form up there. They want standard form. So we're going to do a few things here to get standard form. First thing is simplify. Simplify. So we have y minus 0, that's just y. Distribute inside -half of x minus 1. Is that standard form? No, but what form are we looking at actually, coincidentally? Slope-intercept form. Sometimes you will go through slope-intercept to get to standard. Okay? We're not going to stop there, but we have to keep going. So before we start moving variables, try to get rid of the fractions first. So now we're going to fraction bus. We're going to multiply everything by 2. So when I do that, I'm going to write that down here. 2y equals -x minus 2. That's 2 times everything in there. Last thing we have to do is get x and y together. Get x and y together. Alright, again for the last one here, we see this instruction, write the equation of a line. Always think I'm probably going to have to use point slope. So set up point slope empty. Okay, what we need though, we need a slope, so we're going to have to find that first between our 2 coordinates. So we're going to stack these up, 12, -8. We're going to find the slope, so change of y, -17 to -8. You'll be subtracting 9. Same direction for the x's. How do you get from 18 to 12? You subtract 6. So our slope will be -9 on top and -6 on the bottom. That reduces to be just 3/2. So now we can set up point slope. So y minus a given y value, our slope, which we have, 3/2 times x minus the given x value. So we use any of those coordinates. I'm going to use this one here. It's got smaller numbers. So if I chose that, I'm put the 8, the -8 on the left-hand side with y. So minus -8. That just becomes +8. +8. My x value that goes with that is 12. So there's our point slope form. And now we're going to simplify by distributing the fraction. Okay, because our goal is standard form here. Get x and y together, no fraction. So we have to get rid of the parentheses first. So we multiply that inside. We'd have 3/2 of x. So I think I skipped something there, but if you didn't see that, I just wrote that as -18 after distributing, and then we fraction bus with 2. 2 times all these terms turns into these nice whole numbers. Alright, so we're 2 steps away from getting our standard form. So we're going to get x and y together now. We're going to subtract 3x from both sides. So we'll have -3x, and we still have positive 2y plus 16 equals -36. Last thing we have to do is move over the thing that does not have an x or y. So -16 from both sides. We're going to have our final answer here, -3x plus 2y equals, that gets more negative to be negative 52. Or if you actually did not minus 3x and you move the 2y over, you get the same similar answer, just everything is the opposite like we talked about. So you could have ended up with 3x minus 2y equals 52. So either one of these will be right. All right, may the math be with you.